So have you ever, having probed your mystical bag for answers once, and it coming up a draw, decided, well, okay, we'll give it a second chance, we'll give it another go, and we asked the bag, Batman versus Cyclops, who wins? Okay, so we are back, and it is the it is the last semi-final. We have come so far in this competition.
Yeah, we have.
If you didn't watch last week's episode, make sure you go back and watch that.
That'd be weird.
But what we are essentially doing is we are employing the help of our... we're not paying them, but getting the help of our friends to come and tell us what they love about these characters and their experiences with these characters. And to write down who they think is best, to put the answer in that bag. And we're going to pass you over to that. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and we will see you afterwards for the results.
My first introduction to Batman was the Adam West TV show, which I loved, and it's brilliant, and I've always loved it.
I loved the comedy aspect of the show, and it wasn't on purpose, which was like the best thing about it. And I really, really enjoyed the battles that they used to have, and the clever comments that used to come out, which weren't that clever, but appeared from a 6-year-old as the most genius comments on how to solve a problem.
Batman is one of these, much like Spider-Man, he's one of these cultural icons that has just invaded popular culture from very, very early on. Yes, Adam West was on my TV when I was a kid. I remember waking up every morning when I was a certain age, and the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini animated series was on the TV.
I'm kind of the in-between. I never saw the Adam West TV show, and I never saw the Bruce Timm 90s cartoon. Instead, I saw the 70s Adam West cartoon, which I really remember the episode Joker's Funhouse. And yeah, basically Batman and Robin go and crash the Joker's lair, and it's filled with loads of booby traps that they have to get out of. And for some reason, that always stuck with me.
What is the best thing? Well, probably that he's flawed. And that is why the average man that isn't into comic books hugely, that is just your average everyday guy on the street that likes all that stuff, likes the movies, might have read comic books when he was a kid, that kind of thing. The reason most people don't like Superman and they do like Batman is because Batman is a deeply flawed character. He's not a perfect hero. He's good at catching villains, and he's good at fighting. But is he really good at being a hero? A lot of the time he isn't. A lot of the time he's very self-absorbed and self-obsessed and sort of can't see past himself. And obviously time has told that is just so fascinating to read about.
He's dark, he's broody, he's calculating, he's smart, he's got everything at his disposal. He's pretty much everything you want or need an anti-hero, dark protagonist, just, kick-ass guy to be, There's nothing he can't handle, there's nothing he hasn't thought about.
I love Gotham. I think Gotham has been written in so many amazing ways, and not necessarily more recently, but I've become more recently aware of how when it's Bruce Wayne Batman, it's just this dark, psychopathic, manipulative place, and the villains that fill it are that, and it's kind of it's what Bruce Wayne is scared of, and also what he gets is kind of his kicks from dealing with. And then you look at Dick Grayson when he's Batman, as I said, it's different, with the Black Mirror stuff. It's more culty, it's more this power which has been there for ages, and it's kind of I just love how Gotham changes with kind of whose perspective it is. And I know that's not necessarily related to Batman, but I think Gotham is one of the best creations in comic book history. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
What Batman has over other characters is definitely his supporting cast. You know, his rogues gallery are the most famous villains. You know, you get your... Growing up, I always thought, you know, Spider-Man had the best villains with Doc Ock and Venom and all of them. But then when you start doing your research, not even have to do your research a little bit, but the best villains are, you know, the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Bane. You know, he has such an amazing back catalogue of villains, and the supporting cast with Nightwing and Batgirl and Robin and James Gordon. I feel as though he's a character that flourishes from having all of these supporting characters.
Many people disagree with this, but like he is the most versatile character in terms of tone and things like that. Some people go, oh yeah, I prefer my Batman dark. I'm like, yeah, so do I. I fucking like my coffee dark. Who gives a shit? But the thing is, I watched in fact, the day I saw The Dark Knight at the cinema, the next day I went to my friend's house, we were really drunk and decided, let's watch the Adam West 60s Batman movie. Oh my god, I've not laughed so hard. I was like, yesterday I saw a film about a guy beating a load of criminals to shit, and this one, he's running around with a bomb at the docks. It's amazing.
The worst thing about Batman is the BS. And I say BS meaning bullshit, just in case anyone's wondering what that actually means. The bullshit is the fact that Batman always has an answer. And that's just not life. That's just not real. There isn't always an answer. And the best stories that I've read from Batman, which I'll answer in a minute, have been where he doesn't have an answer. And where he doesn't have an answer and you see him balls to the wall having to fight when he's between a rock and a hard place.
He makes it absolutely abundantly clear to Superman, I don't fucking trust you. You're a fucking alien. And yet people are supposed to trust Batman. It's just nonsense. And this whole I work alone thing. Oh, if you don't count Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Oracle, Huntress, Black Canary. Yeah, I'll work alone. Yeah. Nonsense. Bullshit.
The worst thing for me is how overpowered he is for a human. Admittedly, he has emotional flaws that a lot of great writers have really tapped into, but much in the same vein that people complain Superman is just too overpowered, so is Batman. And I would say Batman is that one step too far of being overpowered. Whenever you put him in a fight against anyone, Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, he can always beat them. He can't lose because Batman always has a plan for it, and I just feel as though it gets to the point of being excessive and just too much. Like it's a real problem for character development that he always wins.
Scott, my first introduction was Chris Claremont, the Chris Claremont run, the X-Men #1. And really Magneto in that whole storyline, and the real core understanding of how the X-Men structure works with the good guys and the bad guys, not bad guys, which again is a nice, clever twist.
I have to say the cartoon again. I feel like that's what I've said for a lot of this stuff, but that's what I grew up on. That was my superheroes.
And the that one.
First introduction to Scott Summers would have been around the same time as my first, just shortly after my first introduction to Spider-Man, which would have been in the Ultimate X-Men universe, which I can never remember who wrote it, but it was a series which I've still got actually. I picked them up again in trade paperback format fairly recently, and they're still pretty good. That would have been my first introduction to him.
Best thing about Cyclops is that he is the backbone to any team movement. If you were going paintballing, you'd want Scott Summers. You'd want him on your team. You would not want to be against him, right? You know that Scott Summers would be giving people the confidence, the same way kind of Steve Rogers and Captain America does, okay, to your team to know that he's going to lead with confidence and get you home, and get you to the other side. And that's just, that's untouchable. Those characteristics are things that people strive for their whole life. And actually, it's one of the brilliant things about him, because you see him strive for it his whole life.
One of the best things about, I mean, there are many, many, many good things about Cyclops. And I could sit here for a good while talking about them. The one I'm going to go for, I think it's the, I'm going to go for Cyclops as a reluctant leader of a people. As a Moses figure, if you will. A lot of the stuff that people cite about Cyclops as being cool nowadays, which I love, I've said time and time again that I think he's one of the most complex, interesting characters in comics at the moment. But a lot of the stuff that people like has come post-Schism, AVX, him evolving more into the Magneto role, which is great. Love all that stuff. It's perfect, wonderful. But the Cyclops as a leader, and that weight on Cyclops' shoulders is something that's been there since day one. You know, he was the first X-Man. He was the guy Xavier always said, you'll inherit all of this. You know what I mean? It's as if Simba and Mufasa standing on a rock. So you'll inherit as far as the sun touches. That's what Cyclops is to me. And he has always lived his life knowing that. And he's always willingly took that on board, and that is in every Cyclops story that you'll ever read.
I'm going to be very simple and just say his power, because at the end of the day, it's very simple. Shoots eye beams out of his thing, so you can see why he's called Cyclops, because of a unified. Even though he's got two eyes, it's a unified beam or whatever. So one eye or whatever. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a pretty kick-ass power. You know, I'm just like, I wouldn't mind being able to do that. You know, that's pretty cool. You know, so yeah, that to me, that's his strongest point.
His power seems to be very much a reflection of his kind of internal struggle. You know, he's got, if he ever opens up his eyelids, if he ever properly let loose, he could just destroy everything. I mean, he's got this massive internal capability of being a phenomenal leader, and we see that a lot later on, and you see it a lot earlier on as well. But he's got this power inside him, and he struggles constantly to keep it suppressed, or you're not suppressed, but just to keep it under control. And he has to be very, very tactful about where and when he kind of, you know, where he releases this power, both with his badass optic lasers, and also, you know, with his leading, because, you know, you see at times where he's got to hold back with what's going on with Professor X, or, you know, whoever else is kind of taking control. So I like that parallel. That seems, I might be reading into it too much, but I like the parallel that goes on with his power and his internal struggles as well.
The worst thing about Scott Summers is that he's a whiny bitch. Scott Summers, as a character, is sad. His character is sad. He started off with a lot of potential, being able to build up to be the leader of the X-Men, and then Professor Xavier didn't underwrite his power, meaning he didn't underwrite his responsibilities to actually take over. He kept undermining his responsibilities to take over, and that turned Scott Summers into a whiny little bitch. And he never quite gets his way, and then when he's hanging out with Jean Grey, he becomes an even more whiny bitch.
His methods in which he leads are not particularly good. Like, it's more of an attitude thing. He just comes across as a massive dick. That's really it. You know, I mean, I don't really. He's got the dickery that normally comes with anti-heroes, but he's not an anti-hero, and that's the thing. You know, the whole excuse of just being a prick for the sake of it, the whole anti-hero thing is what annoys me. But he's not an anti-hero, so it kind of annoys me more. I was like, you're a hero, but, you know, you're a prick, but you're a fucking hero, kind of thing.
I can appreciate what they've done with him these days. In the recent years, they really have developed his character something fierce. Don't get me wrong, I can appreciate and respect that, but at the end of the day, I still don't really care that much for him, because there'll be a small childish voice from my past in the back of my mind that just echoes the cartoon of Gene. Oh, Gene! It's like, fucking grow a pair, Scott. You know, that's just.
He loved her. There's definitely a period in X-Men comics where, and it was probably around the introduction of Wolverine, where Cyclops sort of becomes this uninteresting, boring foil to Wolverine. It's as if the writers have gone, okay, we've got Wolverine, who's this big, great, free spirit. We need some stiff to play him off against. And Cyclops just becomes this sort of rule-keeping, oh, you can't do that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Finger-wagging. And that's tough for me to read.
I'll write down now. Da, 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 da. No peeking. Go. No peeking.
Ooh.
To my darling wife.
Okay.
Okay, into the bag it goes. Ooh, so excited. Done.
Boom.
Okay, before we start, I just want to say, I am very happy that Cyclops has got this one.
I like it.
I mean, semi-finalist, last four. And also say, like,
Good job.
this is Bob Kane versus Stan Lee. Like, this is what it come down to, the last four. Either, one of those two
Yeah.
guys. So, I'm happy that Cyclops got this far.
But maybe he's gotten further.
Oh, well, we can only hope, can't we?
I tell you. Okay, so the first one. The first vote.
That's mine.
It's a Cyclops and it's yours. That's a really weird drawing.
It is weird, isn't it?
Why is he
It
got
looks like he's got his head on a mountain, but they were actually shoulders.
Yeah, it looks
just
like
didn't
he's
work
having
out
some
so well.
sort of like Parkinson's. Like he's just shaking constantly. Cyclops.
Okay.
Next one. Next
One for Cyclops. He's in the lead! Cyclops is leading.
For how long? Two for Cyclops.
Oh my goodness! The coolness, by the way, of that
That's
one.
good.
That's fantastic.
That's a good one.
Tristan,
Tristan's had a good one.
you're a
there.
man after my own heart. Cyclops is 2-0 up. Oh my god.
I'm a bit nervous now.
Oh my god.
And this one
That's
is
the
for...
Batman.
It's Batman. Oh, it's mine. It's mine. That's Batman being sad about his dead parents.
Or by losing to Cyclops, maybe.
Oh, it could be.
Oh my
It's
god.
hard to tell.
I'm getting quite nervous now because I thought this was going to be a whitewash.
2-1. 2-1.
God.
3 to go.
Oh, it's another Batman.
It's a Batman.
It's a na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na Jimsicle. That's what it is.
A na-na-na-na-na-na-na Jimsicle.
2-2. Wow. Okay. Goodness. So this... Okay.
You're nervous. You're nervous. You think your boy might do it? You think your boy might do it?
It's Batman again.
It's Batman. Dav picks Batman. There it is.
Ellie. It's on Ellie.
It's on Ellie. Oh, is it going to be another draw? I fucking hope not.
Here we go. It's Batman.
Batman.
It's Batman. Scott Summers equals... Well, we don't read that.
What does that say? What does it say? Scott Summers equals whiny biatch.
Okay, wow. Well, Scott Summers has put up a good fight there, like 4-2. Batman goes through to the final. Unfortunately, we're pre-recording this, so Stephen will put up a wonderful image of our final bout, and I'm sure he'll adjust the table accordingly. But there we go. That is the semi-finals done with.
Our finalists are Batman versus...
Dick Grayson.
So yeah, well that's coming up. We'll get right on doing the final.
Yeah.
What a journey this has been.
I know. We will see you next time. He loved her!